Hello, lovely podcast people. I hope you're well. Today's podcast came to me in a dream. It did feel like a dream. I was on a run and it was horrible. And so to take myself away from the excruciating pain and sadness of my predicament of running, my mind took me to better places. And that was this podcast information. So yeah, thanks. I am a runner now. As I don't know which podcast it is. I don't know what order these things get released in. But I've mentioned in a podcast within the plus or minus 2 episodes of this one, perhaps, that I've been jogging for my cardiovascular health and other things that come along with that. So, this podcast, do you know what? There's a couple of things that different things came into my mind, and it was this idea of, Martin, why are you jogging? Is it for weight loss? Are you dieting? What's the deal? Blah, blah, blah. And, the genuine non-mega specific reason is my cardiovascular system. It definitely is nothing to do with calorie burn. And I suppose this shouldn't be a particularly long podcast, and I'll for those of you who I want to publicize the benefits of exercise outside of weight loss. That's kind of what this podcast is for. And I just thought of something good. And you know what? So one of the things was I saw something to do with, and this is non-sciencey, so bear with me. But I was thinking about a couple of things with regards to often people make up problems in their heads, right? We're emotional beings. And I'm saying this from the point of view I do this, and there is an area in my life where I'll almost make up problems or make up reasons for things. I can't be too specific, can I? Well, no, I'll give you sort of an example. For instance, as a single parent and on top of that, a single father, there are certain things within, I suppose, society and the way society maybe treats single dads, that I then, I suppose, build up in my mind when I'm, say, treated a certain way. And so I have to kind of actively fight against that and be like, like feminists will be like, it's the patriarchy, and they sort of make problems that aren't there or blame it on the patriarchy when it's just down to an individual or, whatever. And I'll do the same. And I, as a person, as an individual, realize that and go, stop being a gimp, Martin. It's just, X, Y, Z. Sometimes there obviously are elements of, what do people use, systemic issues. And there are definitely systemic issues within education, within the legal system. They're bad and they need sorting. But on an individual level, you can just kind of see problems when there aren't problems. So, for instance, one thing I've seen is like, fat people. Again, not using that term in the pejorative fashion. Is that the right word? Let's do this again. Alexa, what does pejorative mean?
As an adjective, pejorative is usually defined as having a disparaging, derogatory,
there you go.
or belittling effect or
well
force.
Done me.
As a noun,
Alexa,
pejorative is usually
stop. I've had enough. So, fat people, if they're told to do exercise and the exercise doesn't lose to weight loss, they are told it's pointless. No, they're not. But to some extent, maybe that does happen a bit more, but it's also just a general issue. When I start running, people immediately see calories burned, and across the board, it's an issue. Maybe it is slightly stronger, or at least some have experienced that on an individual level, and then they just say, this always happens, where it doesn't. And I want to be a vehicle for going, exercise is massively, massively beneficial for lots of different areas of health, i.e. mental health and, physical health from a non-weight loss perspective. And I'll post some studies for you with regards to this. One of the things that I just wrote down there actually was also this idea of like, exercise, weight loss, blah, blah, blah. But also bearing in mind that the people, it's this idea of sex sells, right? And I'm not talking about specifically sex sells, but sexy things sell. Like to sell, we make things sexy. But, and often that means putting sexual stuff in non-sexual situations to sell something or grab people attention. I'm not doing that in this instance. I'm just saying making stuff sound sexy. So, i.e., if we're wanting to encourage people, last episode I talked about practitioner responsibility, there is an element of, if I publicize the benefits of exercise with regards to leptin sensitivity, which might help us to, yes, get more healthy, but also understand our body to hear its own appetite signals better and reduce appetite. And that leads to a subconscious reduction in calorie intake, which then leads to weight loss. There's no, even the intentional weight loss crowd who are like, oh, diets are bad and we're all going to harm people by getting them to lose weight. Even they can get on board with this, i.e. because it was completely by accident that someone lost weight. And it wasn't the calories burned during the exercise, because exercise is so bad for burning calories, for the amount of cost or effort that needs to be applied. So, these effects that happen regardless of really energy balance specifically and the effects they have on leptin sensitivity, insulin sensitivity, and then obviously, as I mentioned, the mental health benefits, these kind of things. So yeah, this podcast was really just to highlight this huge benefit of exercise independent of weight loss, but also it's not completely devoid of benefits around weight loss if that's something someone wants to do or, quote unquote, needs to improve their health. So yeah, touching on kind of the weight stigma element of it, like maybe overweight individuals are discouraged, or get disparaging comments about their exercise efforts if they are not leading to weight loss more than leaner individuals. I don't know of any data around that, but we know weight stigma is a thing, and but really everyone falls foul of the world's obsession with weight loss, and if a method doesn't lead to weight loss, it's seen as not necessarily that helpful, which isn't. We can improve health, and there are lots of non-diet approaches to improving health, and all of the things that people go, you should lose weight because it'll do this, and actually you can get lots of those things to a greater or lesser extent without losing weight using other methods like exercise. So even with matching energy between groups. So I'll stick some links to studies in the show notes for your interest. This was quite a quick podcast, right? Hopefully interesting, hopefully stimulated your grey matter, providing you with some insight, some new perspective. Yeah, until next time, much love.